Okay, so today we're going deep on Excel.
Deep diving.
We are.
Yeah.
And, we love a good deep dive.
Absolutely.
And this one comes, I think, from a listener request.
It does, yeah. Someone wrote in and said, help, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's all about Power Query in Excel, which
is cool.
It is cool. It's very powerful. And I will admit, I don't use it enough.
It's one of those things, it's there.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what it can do.
Yeah.
But actually diving in and using it,
yeah,
it's a little intimidating sometimes.
And I think part of it is just like the way that it looks even.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing
very cryptic sometimes.
And this particular function we're looking at today is called Function.From.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a function. And it's a function for making other functions.
Yeah, it's a function that creates a function.
Yeah, and it's
yeah, it's the basic idea.
Yeah, that is the basic idea. And just looking at the syntax for it, it's like, what is even going on here?
Yeah, well, let's start with that. Then let's start with the syntax.
Okay, so we have function from, and then in parentheses we have function type.
As type,
comma.
As function.
As function, close parentheses, as function.
Right, so 3 times we've got as function in there.
Yeah, so this is where it starts to feel like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, so the best way to maybe unpack this is to think about what it actually does first, and then we can kind of go back and look at the syntax and make sense of it that way.
Okay. So let's start with the plain English. What does this thing do?
So function. From Okina Anjet essentially takes a function that normally works on a single value.
Okay.
So like if you think about the surakarti function in Excel.
Right. Square root.
Square root, exactly.
Of a single cell.
Of a single cell, you give it one cell, it gives you the square root of that number.
Right.
It can't handle a whole list of numbers. So function takes a function like that normally operates on one single value and turns it into a function that can work on a whole list of values.
Oh, okay. So it's like taking something that would be very manual.
Exactly.
And turning it into something that can just handle
a whole batch of things.
Yeah.
So it's like an efficiency booster, basically.
I like that. Okay, so it takes a function that only works on one thing.
Yep.
And it turns it into like a batch processing function.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so back to the syntax that we were looking at before.
Right.
We have function type as type.
Right. So what you're doing there is you're basically telling Excel, hey, this is the type of function I want to create.
Okay.
So you're kind of defining the category of action it's going to perform.
Okay. So like, is it going to be a math function? Is it going to be a text function?
Exactly. Are we adding things? Are we finding the average? Are we joining text together? That kind of thing.
So it's like, okay, here's a broad category of what this function is going to do. Okay. And then the next part is function as function.
Right. So that's where you actually put in the specific function that you want to use.
Okay. So that's where we would actually put in like score.rt.
Exactly. So if we wanted to create a function that finds the square root of a whole list of numbers, we would put score.rt in that spot.
Got it.
And then the final as function at the end.
Yeah, that one seems kind of redundant.
Well, it's basically just saying that the whole thing that we're doing here is going to result in a new function.
Okay, so it's like
we're creating a function.
Where is the output?
It's just kind of making it explicit.
Okay, so we're defining the type. We're defining the specific function we're using.
Yeah.
And then we're saying, okay, this is going to output a new function that can handle a whole bunch of stuff.
Precisely.
Okay, I'm starting to get it, I think.
Good.
So, I'm trying to think of like a really concrete example.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I have like a list of prices.
Okay.
And I want to calculate the sales tax on all of them.
Right.
Could I use function to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say sales tax is 8%.
Okay.
You could define your function type as a math function.
Okay.
And then your function as function would be, multiplying by 0.08.
Right.
To get that 8%.
Okay.
And then function from would take that and create a new function that would go through your whole list of prices.
Okay.
Multiply each one by 0.08.
Okay.
And give you a new list with all the sales tax amounts.
Wow. So I wouldn't have to go through and do that in every single cell.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a huge time saver.
Yeah. So this is like I'm starting to see the power of Power Query now.
Right. It's about taking these little building blocks.
Right.
And then combining them in really clever ways to automate these tasks that would otherwise be really tedious.
Okay. Now, one question I do have is like, there are already functions in Excel that work on ranges of cells.
Right.
Like, the SUM function will sum up a whole column.
Exactly.
So why would I need function?
That's a great question. So some functions like SUM are already designed to work on ranges.
Okay.
But Function.From gives you a lot more flexibility
Right.
because you can create custom functions that are tailored to your specific needs.
Okay.
So imagine you have data that's spread across multiple tables and you need to combine it in a very specific way.
Good.
Function. From lets you create a custom function that does exactly that.
Oh, I see.
It pulls the data from the different sources,
Okay.
applies the logic that you need,
Okay.
and gives you the results that you're looking for.
So it's not just about like simple math operations?
No, it can be much more complex than that.
Got it.
You can really create some sophisticated tools with this.
Okay, so it's like taking it to that next level of customization.
Exactly.
Where you're really tailoring it to your exact needs.
So precisely.
Wow. Okay, that's really powerful.
It is. And the other thing is that once you create these custom functions with Function.From, you can save them
Okay.
and reuse them in other workbooks. Oh, that's nice.
So you're not reinventing the wheel every time.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sold. I need to start using Function.From, I think.
I think you do. I think you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish with it.
Well, thank you so much for walking me through this. I feel like I've learned a lot.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help.
And listeners, I hope you've also learned a lot today about Function.From and Power Query.
Yeah, go forth and query your data.
Exactly. And if you're like me and you haven't been using it enough, maybe this is the push that you needed to really dive in and see what you can do with it.
There's a whole world of possibilities
I think so.
waiting for you.
So thanks for listening to this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.